We were warned about power cuts and it was touch and go, but we got through the coldest day of the year without them.
Cuts and a grid emergency were avoided thanks to thousands of Kiwis doing their bit to reduce power use, along with industrial users dialling back demand and generators feeding as much electricity into the grid as possible.
Transpower has thanked New Zealanders for their efforts, but this morning's close call highlights a bigger issue with our energy security. Isabel Ewing reports.
Frosty ground and icy windscreens, record cold May temperatures prompted a plea from Transpower for Kiwis to curb their power use, and the country stepped up to the challenge.
They ultimately got us through what was a very tight part of the energy market this morning.
Electricity demand peaked at 10 to 8 this morning. Transpower says it almost dipped into the excess power supply it keeps as a buffer. So why is our power system struggling to cope when it's not even winter yet? Well, it's to do with our transition to more renewable generation.
Often cold is correlated with still times, so it's colder and there's less wind. And we've been saying as Transpower for quite some time we need more fast start capacity.
Transpower says that could mean gas-powered plants or batteries to fill sharp peaks when it's cold. There's also the issue of dry years, since hydro makes up around 70% of our power generation.
Going forward, what are we going to do to replace that long-term deep storage? You need something big that can run efficiently for months.
Labor says the government's not only scrapped its Lake Onslow battery project, but also cut funding for other renewable storage options.
It's gone back in to pay for tax cuts, and it is putting New Zealand's energy security at risk. It is that kind of backwards thinking that is a real problem for New Zealand.
While Simeon Brown says Labor scared off investors with its ban on new oil exploration, threatening energy security.
That's why we've seen a 30% reduction in production just this year, because we aren't having that upstream investment. So we want to encourage that upstream investment.
Meanwhile, plenty of Kiwis are taking energy security into their own hands, like retired chartered accountant Mike Campbell, who's moving into a retirement village today where he's installed solar panels.
I'm producing more energy than I can actually use, even though I've got an electric car. And it goes off to the grid and it feeds somebody else.
He would love to see the government help young people install solar and battery systems.
They can help young people to reduce their power bills by a lot of money.
We asked the Minister what the chances of that are. He said there'll be no subsidies, keeping this out of reach for most people for now.
Well, Isabel joins us now. Kia ora, Isabel. Are we in danger of power cuts again tonight?
Well, Mike, tonight is actually a little bit warmer than last night, though our viewers down south might be chuckling a little bit at these gloves I'm wearing in Auckland. Though Sunday morning is forecast to be cooler still than this morning. However, demand for electricity does drop off over the weekend, and Transpower said that there's no reason to expect any further need to turn off those appliances or hold off on that hot shower to conserve electricity. Things likely looking back to normal. As for the future of New Zealand's energy security, though, Transpower's boss said it would be great to see bipartisan agreement between politicians for energy policy going forward. But as you saw from the story there, that doesn't look likely.
Isabel, tēnā koe.